and welcome to another reading vlog. This is part 2 of my Thriller-A-Thon reading vlog. If you didn't watch part 1, which documented days 1 through 5, then I will leave a link to it up in the eye in the corner and also linked at the end of this video. I would highly recommend watching that before you watch this one so you know what's going on. But just to give you a little recap, these are the challenges I have completed so far with the one book that I have finished. So yeah, it's a 9-day long readathon with 9 challenges. So I have about 3 more books on my TBR to complete the rest of the challenges. So yesterday, or maybe I should have said it's day 6 of the readathon right now, and I just got home from work, but yesterday I started Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is the group book for the readathon, so I'm reading this and it also completes a couple of the other challenges. So I started this yesterday and I'm only about 84 pages into it. But it is a pretty quick read. I just haven't really had the time to read it with work and stuff. As far as my thoughts on this book so far, it's a little bit hard to know what I think about it because I don't really know what's going on in this book. And that's the idea of it, is the main character doesn't know what's going on, so neither does the reader. And I really don't even know how to really summarize the book for you. So basically, we're following this guy who lives a normal life. He's married, he's got a kid, and he goes to a bar one night to meet up with an old friend or a colleague, and then when he's walking home, he picks up ice cream for his family and he's walking home to have dinner with them, and he ends up getting kidnapped and taken to this weird building where he's knocked out and drugged, and then he ends up waking up in this weird sort of laboratory looking thing, and people are talking to him he should know what's going on, but he has no idea what's going on, and so he ends up escaping and he goes back to his house, but it's not his house anymore, and it's just it's really weird. So I don't really know what I think about it because I don't really know what's going on. But what I will say is it's very intriguing, and I have my own sort of theories as to what's happening, but they're really just theories. I don't know what's going on. But like I said, it's very intriguing, and the writing is really fast-paced, even though it doesn't seem like it because I've been reading it for over a day and I'm not even 100 pages into it yet. But like I said, that's just because I haven't really had the time, but it is very fast-paced, and I just feel the writing flows really well. I've never read a Blake Crouch book before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect from his writing, but so far I really enjoy it. Also, when I checked out this book from my library, the librarian said that she read it and she really liked it, and I have never not liked a book a librarian has recommended to me. Not that she necessarily recommended it to me, but you get what I'm saying. And every book I've ever been recommended by a librarian I have ended up loving. My favorite series ever is The Last Dragon Chronicles, which was recommended to me by a librarian. So I'm expecting pretty great things from this book. So I do plan to read quite a bit of it tonight, but I also want to watch a movie tonight. I am planning to watch Hereditary, which I've never seen before, but it's a horror movie, and me and a couple coworkers were talking about horror movies yesterday at work, and I was recommended Hereditary and also Midsummer, which I believe both of them are directed by the same person, but they were basically recommended to me as being some of the most disturbing horror movies I'll ever watch. And anytime somebody says that, I'm instantly interested in watching that movie because I've seen so many horror movies and they just don't really do it for me anymore. So anytime someone's this was the most disturbing horror movie I ever saw, I'm challenge accepted, I'm going to watch it. So I immediately on the way home picked this one up from the library, and I currently have Midsummer on request from the library, so I'm waiting for that to come in. But I really want to watch Hereditary tonight. I hear it's 3 hours long though, so I should probably get started with that since it's already almost 7 o'clock at night. So yeah, I'm going to watch that, but I am going to read some of this. I probably will switch back and forth because I get bored of things real fast, so I'll probably watch an hour of the movie, then read this for a little bit, then watch an hour of the movie. So yeah, those are my plans for tonight, and I'll probably update y'all tomorrow. Hey guys, so it is now the next day, which makes it day 7 of the readathon. I just got home from work a little bit ago, and I started reading Dark Matter again. I'm only about 115 pages into it, so I've not gotten very far at all, and again, that's not because I'm not interested in the book, so I'm not picking it up. It's just because I haven't had the time / I haven't really been making the time to read it, even though I am enjoying it. So I'm going to try and read this for most of the rest of the night, hopefully. Every time I say that, it doesn't happen, but hopefully this night it will. I also have off for the next 2 days, so I should hopefully make up for kind of all of the time that I wasted not reading. in the next 2 days. So yeah, last night I didn't end up reading basically anything at all because I did start watching Hereditary. Didn't finish it. I'm like 45 minutes from the end, but as per usual, I just kind of got bored and tired, started to fall asleep, so I turned it off, and yeah, maybe I'll finish the last 45 minutes tonight. I feel like it's a really unpopular opinion because so many people love Hereditary, or so many people who love horror love Hereditary, and yeah, again, it's just not really doing anything for me. Like, I looked up reviews for this movie and like the other movies that this director has made, and I feel like he's known for like having really gory movies or something. That's like a common thing I've seen in different reviews, and I didn't really think it was that gory, at least what I've watched so far of Hereditary. Like, it's not anything gorier than stuff that I've seen on like The Walking Dead, like that one episode involving a baseball bat. That's probably one of the goriest things I've ever seen. But other than that, I don't know, like yeah, this movie is not really doing it for me. I do still want to watch Midsummer though, because I feel like that's a little bit more up my alley, because I'm not, I always say this, I'm not really into like paranormal horror movies, like possessions or like hauntings. I prefer when the antagonist is like either a person or like a monster, but it has to be something like tangible. Like, I don't really like the paranormal because it's like anything can happen and it can just be explained by it, oh, it's paranormal. Whereas I like it to have some kind of like realism to it, I guess. So yeah, that could also be why I'm not really into it. So yeah, those are my plans for tonight, are to finish watching that movie and also to try and read as much of this as possible. And I also want to try and start editing part 1 of this reading vlog so that I can upload it tomorrow. And that shouldn't really take me that long because I didn't film a whole lot of montagey bits this time around, so it should be a pretty quick edit. So yeah, that is what I'm going to do. I might update you again tonight, but given my track record of vlogging, I probably won't update you until tomorrow, but I guess we'll just see what happens. So it's about 11 o'clock at night, and I just reached the 200-page mark in Dark Matter, and while I really want to keep reading to at least be able to finish this chapter, I am like super tired, so I am going to go to bed and pick this back up in the morning. So it is now the next day, which makes it the second to last day of the readathon. And we've got the 7 dwarves for this day on my calendar. I am having a super duper lazy day today. I really didn't put any effort into my hair or my outfit. I'm basically in my pajamas all day because I'm not going anywhere. So I did read quite a bit today. Actually, I didn't really read that much, but I'm 252 pages to be exact into this book, so I think I'm about 100 pages from the end, and I'm definitely more into the story now, so fingers crossed I'm going to finish this before the end of the day, because like I mentioned before, it's like a pretty fast-paced book and the writing just flows really well, so I'm getting through it pretty quickly when I'm actually taking the time to sit down and read it. And you'll also probably be not shocked to know that last night I did not finish that movie nor edit my video, so I also have to do that today as well. So it's a bit later now, and I finished Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I actually really enjoyed this book. It was more sci-fi for me than thrillery. It really only had those like thriller suspenseful moments more towards the ending, at least for me. But overall, I really liked it. And I don't know if this is going to be considered a spoiler for some people or not, so if you're like really sensitive about spoilers and like what this book deals with, then mute the video for like the next 30 seconds. But basically, this book deals with the idea of like a multiverse, which is basically the idea that there's like billions of other universes, or like kind of like parallel universes where there's different versions of ourselves living like slightly different lives or drastically different lives in some of them. And I have never really read a book like that before, and I've seen very minimal movies about that outside of like the Marvel universe. So that was a kind of new concept for me, and I really loved the way it was done in this book, and some of the more like sciencey parts of it went over my head, but overall I was still able to like understand what was going on, and I just really enjoyed it. So that completed 2 more challenges. It completed the group book challenge and to read a recommended thriller. So that's 5 challenges and 2 books completed overall. I've got 4 challenges left to complete, and there's 2 books that I would need to read to complete those, but I just don't really see that happening. So I think I'm going to pick up another book later tonight, and hopefully I can at least finish one more book before the readathon ends. I'm not sure which one I'm going to pick up, but it's probably going to be the shorter one, the Sheri book. It's called Someone We Knew. I can't see. There's library stickers covering it. But I think I'm going to pick that up later tonight. But for now, I'm going to focus on trying to edit that darn video vlog that I wanted to post today. But at this point, I also don't think it's going to happen. But I'm going to try to at least edit it. And then I will update y'all later. So it's about 8 o'clock now. And I just got out of the shower and took my makeup off. Which I do not normally film without any makeup on. Don't know how I feel about this. It's a little weird. But I'm not going to let that stop me from vlogging. So excuse my naked face. But I did end up editing my video, and I uploaded it, have it scheduled to go up tomorrow. I wanted to post it today, but I felt like it was a little too late at this point to have it go up, so I'm just gonna have it go up tomorrow. And now I am going to start reading Someone We Know by Sheri. This is the third book I'll have read by her. The first book I read was The Couple Next Door. Yep, that's what it's called. And I thought that one was okay, and I read it in like 2 days. And then the other one that I read was Stranger in the House, which I really, really loved. And I read that in basically one sitting over like a few hours. So there is a very slim chance, it's very slim, but it is still there, that I could just be completely gripped by this book and finish it all tonight. Who knows? It's also pretty short. It's less than 300 pages, so there's a slight possibility that might happen, but there's also a much bigger possibility that it won't. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I'm all cozy in bed, in my pajamas, all ready for bed. This is like really early for me to be ready for bed at like 8 o'clock, but I just want to get all cozy and read this book because I feel like I'm going to enjoy it. Literally the second I hit the record button, my heat turns on. I don't understand it. Alright, so it is the next day, which makes it the final day of the Thriller-A-Thon. It's about 5 o'clock at night. I'm starting this pretty late, but I didn't do much today except for read my book, and I also went and like got coffee earlier with my family. Last night I only read about 60 pages of Someone We Know, so obviously it didn't suck me in and make me read it all in one night, but I did find it intriguing, and it is a very fast-paced book. It probably just like last night I was pretty tired, so I just went to bed. But then this morning I read another 100 pages of it, so I'm now 160 pages into this book, and I'm not really sure how I'm feeling about it. And I also think last night that I said I had only read 2 of her other books, but I remember this morning that I had also read An Unwanted Guest by Sheri, and so 2 of the books by her I thought were pretty good, but not that great, and then one of them I really liked. So I think this book is going to be like the deciding factor on whether I read more books by this author or not. And honestly, at this point, like I said, I don't really know what I think about it, so I think it's going to be the ending of this book that really determines like if I like it or not. Like the ending will really make or break this book. So right now, how do I describe this book to you? Basically, we're following a very large cast of characters. We're basically following an entire neighborhood or like one street of people. Like main mystery of the story is that there's this couple and the wife goes missing, the husband reports her missing, and then she turns up with her car in the lake and she's dead in the trunk of the car, and she's clearly been violently murdered. So that's like the overarching mystery of it. And then we're also following like everybody in the neighborhood as they're like questioning like who murdered this woman. And there's like this one family we're following where the son has like broken into people's houses and like hacked into their computers, and then there's like this other kid who's got a drinking problem, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say that like everybody in this book is having an affair. So yeah, that's basically what's going on in this book so far, but we're following a pretty large cast of characters, and I will say that it's done very well, and I haven't found myself being like confused as to who is who and like who's married to who and what's going on with each of their storylines. I feel like the author has done really well at keeping all of their storylines straight and making the characters like very different from each other so that you can really tell them apart. What I would say though is that this doesn't feel particularly like a thriller as of right now. Like what differentiates a mystery and a thriller for me is that a thriller will have more like suspense or like makes you feel uneasy while you're reading it, and I have not felt that at all with this book. Purely as of right now, it's just felt like a mystery. And I do have a prediction as to who the killer is. Obviously I'm not going to say it because that would spoil it later on, but I do have a hunch So I'm gonna keep on reading and see if I'm correct. Okay, so it is almost 7 o'clock at night. I don't know if you can see that, but I am on page 225 of this book. I think I'm about 70 pages from the end, and I don't have like a lot to update you on, but what I will say is that I still stick with my same theory as to who the killer is. But what I will say is that I am getting extremely intrigued as to how the author is going to connect all of these storylines in the end. Because like I said, we're following like a couple of different plot lines, and knowing this author and reading her other works, I know that all of these plot lines aren't just going to come to their own separate conclusions. They're all going to come to one conclusion. They're all going to connect at the end, and I have no idea how the author is going to manage to do that. But I just know she is, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be great. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep on reading this book because I really have to know how these all come together. I don't even care to know so much who the killer is because, like I said, I'm pretty sure who it is. I just want to know how she's going to connect all of these plot lines together. But also, I am taking a tiny break from reading to eat this giant chocolate chip cookie. Like, literally, this thing is the size of my face. Hi, everyone. So, it is now the next day. I would just like to say, please excuse everything that's happening on my face in this region. I don't know why the acne is so bad, but it is. Anyways, I really wanted to film last night when I finished this book, but I ended up getting a pretty bad headache, and so I just went to bed after I finished this. But I did finish this book. It was very disappointing, to say the least. And that really pains me to say that because I don't know why, but I really want to like this author. I don't know why, I just do. And so every time I read one of her books and it ends up being another disappointing one, like a little part of me dies on the inside because I just really want to like this author for some reason. But at this point now, I've read 4 of her books. 1 I really liked, 2 were meh, and this was probably the most disappointing of them all. Because with all of her other ones, she's still been able to shock me at the end, whereas with this one, I predicted the ending less than halfway through, and even though I kept saying yesterday that I was like pretty sure what the ending was, I really wanted to be wrong. I really wanted this book to shock me, and it didn't, and that was really disappointing. I'm thinking about doing a whole review video for this book because I just have so many thoughts about it, but I think my main issue with it was one that I predicted the ending. And I think the reason for that is that something that she likes to do a lot in her books is have red herrings. And maybe I don't know how those are supposed to work, but I feel like you're not supposed to know as a reader that you're trying to be tricked or trying to be distracted into thinking it's somebody else. However, in her books, she just makes them very obvious and they're a little bit forced. Like, the evidence that this person committed the crime is so convicting that you just know it can't possibly be them, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's just so obviously them that it certainly can't be. Hopefully that makes sense. But I felt like she did it like 3 times in this book with 3 different characters, and like at that point you can basically just weed them out and find out who does it in the end. So that was just really disappointing. Another thing I didn't really like about this book was that it's a thriller, but for most of it, it felt like a mystery. Like I explained yesterday or whenever, I just didn't feel any moment of suspense while reading this book. And frankly, throughout the entirety of it, I wasn't that invested. I was really just holding out until the end to really blow me away with this book because the whole rest of it really wasn't that great. And if you can't tell, really pains me to say that because for whatever reason I really want to like this author, but I just wasn't very impressed with this book. However, it did complete 2 of the challenges, so it completed the shortest thriller on my TBR and also an author I've read before, so yeah, at least it completed 2 of the challenges, and it only took me about a day to read. So overall, I completed 7 out of the 9 challenges and 3 books this week, and so I think I explained this in part 1 of my vlog, but the way that this readathon works is that once you fill all the squares, you pick your favorite book out of each category, and then that's how you solve the murder for the Clue game. So in conclusion, the murderer in my game of Clue was Sergeant Mustard in the study with a hardback book, which sounds like a pretty great story to me. If anybody wants to write that book, let me know in the comments. I'll read it. I'll review it on my channel. Free promo. And yeah, I guess that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!
You hear that, Samson?